Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular council meeting of January the 13th, our first one since in the new year. I'll call the meeting to order. We have an agenda, and I'm going to ask if anybody has anything to add. I have a couple of things that I want to put on there for decision, which would be 9G. And what it is we need. I had a call about an issue with the highways for one road, I guess, and I said we would discuss maybe writing a letter. So that's what I'm going to bring up there. And in correspondence, I don't think it's there. No. Got an email from an organization, and it's African Heritage African Month, and the January 15th is an anniversary, but I'll just read it and when it comes to that. So with that, if nobody else has anything to add, we can have a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. Anybody have any conflict of interest declaration? If none here, if we get to an item and you see that you have, you can always declare it at the time. So the next item, we have a presentation, and the presentation is from Reid, and it's for Shag Harbour Incident Society. There's no attachment, so I guess we'll turn this over to Mr. Reid, and you can start with your presentation, and welcome to the meeting.
Alrighty, thank you very much. I think everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm doing this, I apologize. I'm doing it on my iPhone. My laptop wouldn't let me log into Zoom, so I had to forward the email to my phone. So it's a little, I guess, small on my screen, but if everybody can hear me okay, I'll get into it. Yeah, my name is Reid. I'm here on behalf of the Shag Harbour Incident Society. What we have planned, I'll start out by saying, I guess, ever since I was 12, I've been kind of fascinated by UFOs. I wouldn't say I believe in them, but Star Wars came out. I was 12 years old in '77 and really have kind of been into that sort of thing ever since. Always followed all the space launches, things like that. When I moved to the Yarmouth area 7 or 8 years ago, I went down to the Shag Harbour Museum and wanted to check that out because, again, I was kind of fascinated by that and was sort of just disappointed at what the museum, I guess, the condition it's in. It's a fairly old building. It's kind of musty and really wasn't what I expected. And I attended one of their events that commemorates the event that happened back in '67. It was in October. And I was a little disappointed with that as well. Kind of got talking to a few of the members and agreed to join their society. And I just think, you know, there's so much potential for what happened with people like myself that have an interest in it. So met with them, we kind of got talking about trying to elevate the event they hold every fall and really turn it into something, I guess, for folks that are into the UFO phenomenon, something similar to what the Wharf Rat Rally does for Digby with folks that are into motorcycling and bikers. So I don't know if any of you know, there was a coin minted. I'll try to, if you can see that coin, there was a coin minted by the Canadian Mint commemorating the incident that happened, and comes with a black light when you buy it. Anyway, it was actually the fastest selling coin that the Canadian Mint had ever had. Which again speaks to the, I guess, the interest that folks have in UFOs and so on. did a little research. Roswell, New Mexico, they have their own, I guess, event that happened back there supposedly. And Roswell holds a festival every year, and it attracts between 10 and 14,000 people. It's a 4-day event, and it's a pretty big deal. So obviously for tourism, it's great for their area. The town of Roswell is actually a little bit away from where that supposed crash happened, whether it did or didn't. There's a lot of people that are fascinated by it. So the town does well to hold a festival. They draw 10 to 14,000 people a year over a 4-day event. What we would like to do is, again, elevate the event that we've held in the past. And what we've done this for 2 years and had to cancel it because of COVID, but we do have it booked again for this fall. We've actually got 6 world-renowned UFOologist speakers. One's from Halifax and 5 are from the US. If anybody's familiar with the show Ancient Aliens, I flip and catch it sometimes. I'll flip channels. There's a guy in there named Nick Pope, and a lot of folks I talk to have seen that. He's actually one of our guest speakers, probably the most famous of the 6 that we have. Of the other bunch, they've written books. They've been on CNN. They've been on Fox News. So we've got the Grand Hotel booked. We've got 6 of those speakers booked to come and make presentations. What we really want to do is grow it to really truly be a world-class event that we would hold every year. And the cost of putting the event on for this year is probably going to be about $12,000. That doesn't include any promotion or any advertising. That's just the cost of paying to have those speakers come. We have to fly them here, get them down from the airport, put them in a hotel, etc., and a few other things. The risk is if we don't, if we hold the event and it doesn't turn out that great the first couple of years, it really won't be able to be put on again because the society just simply doesn't have the money to fork out $12,000 to see if this will go. But I really do think that if we can get it up and running and make it a decent event where people would want to travel to the area, where like the one I went to, they wouldn't come here and be disappointed. They would show up and say, wow, that was really great. Had a great time in Yarmouth. The event was fantastic. It was professionally run, very interesting, and they're going to want to come back the next year, and hopefully they would bring friends. We have it scheduled for the first weekend in October, which is on the anniversary date of the event that did happen in Shag, Harbour. And what's kind of nice from a tourist point of view, as you probably know, that's the shoulder season. So you don't have a lot of tourists coming that time of year anyway. Ideally, the ferry would still be running and we would have access to that. So the folks on the Eastern Seaboard could just hop on the ferry, come on up and attend our festival and go back. That is about it. A couple other neat things. I have, I guess, from not directly from the source, but I've heard that Chris D'Entremont used to say that when people would get off the ferry when it was running, they would ask one of 2 things. They would ask where Peggy's Cove is, and they would ask where Shag Harbour is. So there is people that, I guess, hear about the event that happened back in '67. They're fascinated by it. But it's the whole idea of, you know, when they do come to check it out, or they do come to the small festival that they hold, are they going to return? And how, you know, I guess how impressed would they be? We want to try to change that. So we're trying to get funding to help hold and promote the event. Ideally, I'd like to get about 4 from the town of Yarmouth and maybe 3 from the municipality of Yarmouth, Argyle, and Barrington. And it really is going to draw tourists to the both Yarmouth and Barrington area. That would give us money to put the event on. In the event that it doesn't make a profit, we can try again next year, try to grow it and make it better. And I really think within a couple of years, it would be something decent. We could grow it to maybe where we have a parade, we have, you know, an alien pumpkin carving contest, costume contest. I've talked to a few of the local breweries, and we have an idea of having them brew a special ale for that event. Could be called Alien Ale or Martian Hops, something like that. and maybe have a contest around that to help promote it, and a few other things that we could do to, again, generate interest. So I'll leave it at that. That's our idea. If you Google or if you search UFO Expo, so UFO XPO, I have talked to Neil McKenzie, and they have it on the YASTA site. There's a link. It's usually the quickest way to find it, but we did pay to get a nice website created, and the whole agenda is there for the event that we have planned for this coming fall. List the guest speakers, list their credentials, and again, very professional looking, and people that have come across it. We've had emails showing interest in attending, etc. That would give you a chance to really take a good look at what we're trying to, the kind of event we're trying to hold. So now I will leave it at that. Is there any questions or any comments anybody would like to make?
Anybody have any questions? Councillor Sonia.
Hi, Danny. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Pardon me?
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's not a matter of who believes in UFO. It's a matter of, or I should say, if we don't believe in it, doesn't matter. There are a lot of people that do believe in UFOs. And like you said, if they're attracted to Shag Harbour, I kind of lean your way in saying that this festival is worth its while. I'm a very big proponent of exploiting everything we have. You mentioned Digby, and Digby has that wharf rally, and we have spin-offs in Yarmouth from that. Right now, my attention is also with Shelburne because it's got another movie going, which would be the third or fourth. My only concern is with this festival you're talking about, and if you have as many people as you're going to, you figure you might get, or might even get more, where would they be sleeping? Where would they be eating? Would this be spread throughout the whole area, tri-counties, and what's your idea on that?
Yeah, good question. So couple things on that point. I talked to Pam Mood about this, Mayor Mood, and something I guess I hadn't really thought of, but it did excite her. And as far as holding the event, this doesn't answer your question about where they would sleep, but she said it would be great if we could grow it and maybe hold it at the Mariner Center if it became that big. For this year, at the Grand, it will only hold 400 people. So that's all the tickets we can sell. And we do have links on the website for all of the local hotels. So I think, so much more than a large hockey tournament at this point. And that's if we even sold out. But certainly if we sold out that many tickets, we would absolutely make a profit, which would be great. It would make it worthwhile. And all we can do is grow it beyond that. I don't know if it ever would become as big as the Wharf Rat Rally. It might, but again, those folks tend to make their way here and find accommodations, etc. In the worst case scenario, the event would sell out, or people would come down and make a day trip of it. But I think we'd be fine as far as where people can stay. One of the challenges we do have that we really never thought about initially is people, if they want to fly in, if someone wanted to fly in from Quebec, Ontario, whatever, it's really hard to get from the airport to Yarmouth. So that's very much a challenge. How many cars are there to rent? There's no shuttle service. But again, all those things, I've talked to Rick Allwright, and Rick will say, if people want to come, they'll get there. They'll find their way. We've held pretty big events in the past, the town of Yarmouth. So I think all that initially is going to be absolutely okay as far as accommodations and space to hold the event. Ideally, if we could hold it over 3 or 4 days down the road, we could blend more of Shelburne into it as well. Shag Harbour is in that county, I guess, if that's what, Shelburne County. So really want to spread it between the two areas. And I didn't mention, but the real end goal of this would be to make money, hold the event, make money, and use that money to improve the museum. So again, that in turn would draw more folks to the area, not just for the event, but coming off the ferry, they might want to go and check that museum out. Right now, it's not open many hours. It's cold, it's damp. Even in the middle of summer, it's just a kind of a weird building to be in. But it all has huge potential. And your point about not necessarily needing to believe in UFOs is right on. It's certainly a niche market where there's a lot of people that are really fascinated by it and would travel to take in this kind of an event. The event that did happen in Shag Harbour, for the record, is the only government documented UFO crash in the world. There's no other country that can name claim to that. And folks that do come up to see it, see the site, they'll often refer to it as Canada's Roswell. And they're kind of surprised that there's just not more there, as I was myself. And again, I think we can, grow it into something pretty decent.
I'd like to make one more comment, if I may, Mr. Warden.
Okay.
It's my comment is, if we're going to attract people in our communities, we're going to have to do it ourselves. We can't rely on outsiders to do it. It's got to come within. And your idea is kind of part of exploiting this. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. If I can, so I'll just throw one more comment out. I have made a to Mayor Mood, as I mentioned. I also presented this to the municipality of Yarmouth. And I hope they don't mind me saying, when I went at that time, we were allowed to meet in person. It was before Christmas, but I took my coin, talked about the Star Wars fascination, all that. And they went around the room, and one of the other members actually had a coin as well. And he was sort of fascinated by it. And three of the other members said the same thing. And then as I was leaving, I had another appointment, so I couldn't stay for the whole meeting. So after my presentation was done, I left. But I was walking out of the room. As I was walking out, they kind of all chuckled and said, well, who would have thought we're a bunch of, sci-fi nerds? And they just didn't even know that amongst themselves. But they all were quite taken by the idea of putting on that kind of an event. And you're right, letting us be the ones to hold it, promote it, and us be the ones to draw people to our area. So it was kind of neat.
Mhm. Any other questions? Councillor Shag.
Mr. Reid, then, or Danny, I guess I should say Danny.
Sure.
What's your ask?
Money. Sorry, it's funding. I mean, yeah, we really would like, I absolutely have no experience whatsoever at trying to run or put on a festival. So again, I've talked to Neil McKenzie, talked to Rick Allwright. I would love any support and ideas and help, but I think we do have our heads together as far as getting it off the ground. We do have a great agenda and schedule booked for this year with the speakers and everything. So besides obviously any input from anybody that could help us with ideas to grow it, we need that money just to ensure that, it's absolutely going to cost us $12,000 and then some to put it on. And if we really don't make much, the museum cannot afford to, or the society cannot afford to put it on again next year and have it fail. It would just tap them out of money. So, it's not a guarantee that it's going to take off this year, but I think if we do it right and we promote it right, we should have some success. But the funding, if I was able to get $10,000 between the town and the three municipalities, that's going to ensure that we're not going to go bust. We can hold the event, we can put it on for what it is, and hopefully everybody that shows up would come back and bring a friend the next year and just grow it the same as the Wharf Rat Rally. So my ask is, I'm not going to ask for some crazy amount of money. The cost is about $12,000. I did submit a budget, and I think if we were able to get 10 again and combine the town, the three municipalities, that would really be enough to ensure that we can put it on without going bust. And then we can try it again the next year and try to grow it. that's the game plan.
Danny, just one more, Mr. Warden. You're aware we have Kyle Boudreau, our interim CAO, and Scott Surratt. Glad to see Scott here. I'm sure you'll be able to talk to them about, we have a grants to organization, program. So I'm sure you'll be able to get in touch with them to find out how to proceed with that. Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Donaldson.
Yes. Going back to what Guy just said, I look at this as much the same way as I look at the kayak symposium that we support every year. And I got to admit, I forget exactly how we fund them, but I don't think it's through the grants to organizations. I think it's under another category. So I'm thinking that perhaps if we decide to fund it, we could do it under that program instead of taking grants away from our nonprofit groups in our municipality. And one thing I wanted to mention to Danny, Reid, I believe, are you getting any backlash from Barrington, Shag, Harbour, where it seems to be being brought forward to Yarmouth County? Like, are you hearing anything? Because I know how outspoken certain councillors can be.
Yeah, so I haven't made a presentation. I'm doing that actually this coming Monday. I'm going to present to their municipality. I won't name names, but I do know one person wasn't thrilled that we were actually going to hold the main part of the event in Yarmouth. But as I mentioned, there's simply no facility in Barrington that can hold 400 people and have a hotel right there, right, for the folks to sleep in and be that close to the ferry. I will say, if you look at the schedule, it's a 2-day event. The first day is more or less a conference at the Grand Hotel. The second day, we're going to charter a bus or two, whatever we need. And I've already worked on that, so one is reserved, where we would take the guests or the visitors, ticket buyers, down to the actual crash site in Shag Harbour, and also do a tour of Backwell Point, the military installation. So it definitely ties in their community. And the end game, as I mentioned, would be to any money that's raised is going to be used to improve that museum. I think the museum, I won't say an embarrassment, but it isn't a place where I would go and then go right back again and, couldn't get enough of it. Once you've seen it once, you've seen it. It's just not really what you expect. It should be better and could be better. So at the end of the day, it's going to draw tourists 365 days a year down to that site if it's open and if it's a great facility compared to what it is now. So they're going to get their fair share of traffic from it. That's the whole game plan. It is not to take away from Barrington and hold it strictly in Yarmouth. It's to use the two communities to put this event on. If down the road they had a facility to hold a conference, a hotel, whatever, it'd be nice to have it over 2 days, the conference, and have a bit in each location. That is the game plan. So good question. And you're right. They probably won't like it initially, but I think if they look at the bigger picture, I think they would agree that it's, for what they would spend to help promote it compared to what the government has spent, say, for Peggy's Cove to build that little walkway and stuff. It's such a huge potential down here. All we got to do is get this up and running and it would just take off, I think. And it would benefit absolutely both communities, both areas.
Yeah. Well, thank you. After listening to you this evening, I think you can probably bridge this little problem if it arises. And in the future, like if it does grow, I mean, there'll be more and more going on in Barrington, Shag Harbour. And yeah, so I'm not a sci-fi person. My wife is, but I'm on board with you. And I'll do my best to help convince the rest of council to fund you some money.
I appreciate that. And I think if that's it, I'll leave the meeting. Nobody's offended by that. I'll let you all get on with your business.
Nope, not a problem. Carl, did you have your hand up to say something? No, okay. So I guess maybe I missed, when is this happening?
Yeah, that's on the website again. It's the October 1st and 2nd would be Saturday and Sunday.
You know,
And that it's always the first weekend in October because that's the anniversary date of the actual event that happened back in '67.
okay. Yeah.
And I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but again, I think, it's I'm not trying to oversell this at all, but the that time of year in this part of the province is a wonderful time of year. The weather's usually great. It's great for fall tourism. It's not overlapping with your summertime events. A lot of hockey stuff hasn't got up and running yet. So I really think it's an ideal time. It's that shoulder season. The ferry should be still running. That's what their schedule shows. It's a good time of year to hold it. You might get people coming a day or two early, staying a day or two after to take in our local area. I really think that's the potential that we could grow this to.
Okay, good. I was just wondering if that was happening. If, I mean, it gives us a chance to go into our budget, our new budget as well. Because I don't know that we can decide right now. Yes, we're going, but
Right.
at least it gives us some time to, if we're going to do something, to add it into our next budget as well. So,
Yeah,
which
I,
is
I was told that's why to kind of get these presented now and then leave it with you folks.
exactly.
Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Very, very interesting, and wish you all the best with your event. I'm sure, like you said, once it gets going, I'm sure it'll grow and everybody benefits once you have something,
Right on.
Yeah,
I think so. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks again for
Okay.
your
Good night, everybody.
night. Okay. One thing I neglected to say, one of our councillors, Councillor Calvin Dotrimo, sent his regrets. He is out fishing. Next item is adoption of minutes. We've had two special meetings, one December 23rd and one December 29th. And I guess we'll go one at a time. If someone can, I don't know if anybody has any questions. Councillor Bork, you have a question or a motion? Motion. Okay, moved by Councillor Bork, seconded by Councillor Sonia. All in favor signify by raising your hand, and that's for the December 23rd. We have the same thing for December 29th, special council meeting. Anybody want to move by Councillor Stratton and seconded by Deputy Warden Albright. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded. Carried. Business arising. We have a letter from our MLA Colton LeBlanc, and it's a request that was sent that for the a carpool lot in at Pubnico Head, and he brought this matter with staff from the Department of Public Works. They've looked into the matter, and he says that staff have indicated that this will be addressed and lighting will be installed at the carpool lot. Expected that this work will be completed in the spring. Staff have also been made aware of the accessibility concerns. So at least it's a positive answer from the government from a request that we sent. So I don't think there's any more we can do with that. Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. I was actually talking with our MLA on this concerning this letter and that, and I was asking him, maybe we should have thought about this before, but I know the Department of Highways owns a couple of other pieces of land down around the Pubnico area and around Pubnico Head. And I was asking him maybe if there may be a better piece of land that would be more suitable for a carpool parking lot and for safety and security reasons. He's not sure what he can do there, but he is going to look into it.
Okay. I mean, if they're going to put money in this one, I doubt very much that you'll see them changing it for sure.
it wasn't so much putting money into this one, it was maybe putting money into a better piece of land that they own that would maybe make a better carpool parking lot.
Without, rather than.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so he assured me that they will look into it, but that's all we can ask for.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you.
And we're to councillors' reports. Any councillor have any reports? Deputy Warden.
Hey, I was taking a look through your report and I had a lot of similar meetings as you did, Warden Muse. But just to add to it, we had a doctor recruitment meeting in December where we had the navigator report, and it continues to be positive. There's a lot of the information that I can't really share publicly because there's a lot of negotiation that goes on and contracts and things like that, but we continue to make gains. Let's just put it like that. Mariner Center, we're still awaiting a decision. So our application is still kind of in limbo. In case you were wondering, we don't expect to hear anything. You know, we're really just kind of waiting. So that's really all. Continue to have conversations with politicians that push, to make sure that they know about our project and, make sure that they're pushing it forward. That's about all we can say about that. Just a couple of updates. We're glad to have Scott in the role he's in. We're sad to see him leave recreation, but we're also glad to have Natalie back. Ground Search and Rescue has contacted me and they just wanted to update you that their roof is all done, and actually they had a well put in as well, a new well. So those are two things on their list that the contributions from municipalities made that they were able to get accomplished. So that's really good news for them. The Saint-Anne-de-Ruisseau sign group has their sign ready to be installed in the spring. They're going to be working on another one. The Belleville group that I had been working with, we are now a registered society. There was no community group in Belleville. So I'm not sure if you remember when we had come through and asked for a grant, there was no real society. Well, now there is. We've incorporated. So that's something else I can put on my resume that I know how to do now. So in case you're wondering, I have experience with that now, and it's a long process, but it's done. Splash Park, another one, they're meeting February 1st. They're doing really, really well with their fundraising, and they're actually quite close to getting all the money that they need, and they're hoping to break ground in the spring. I think that is everything that I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Bork.
Yes, as I attended all the regular council meetings as well, and just one that I'm adding, we had our joint police advisory committee, and I had the opportunity to meet with the new staff sergeant, Dave Simpson. I had met him before, and it was a real good meeting. It was an open discussion, and it was very, you felt very relaxed. You could talk anything about him. So he's a real nice guy. So I just wanted to mention that we had a real good meeting with him, and I think he's going to do some good for our area. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Good. Councillor Sonia.
Thank you. I don't have a lot to report. I attended a recreation meeting and a waste check. But I'd like a comment or well wishes. Annie Muse just turned 100 years old today. And she's the wife of Charlie Muse, a war veteran, who's also 100. And I just want to say happy birthday to Annie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? Councillor Surratt.
Yes, just to, like everybody else, indebted the regular council or special meetings. Also, I had a couple of meetings in the last 2 months with the Area Industrial Commission. Had a special meeting with the doctors from the AM Clark in Harbour South with our manager, Reid. There were some issues there to go over, and I won't go into it, but things are being resolved, some of the issues they had there. Also had a meeting with the airport yesterday, the airport, and we had David Morgan from Celtic Air. He was there in the meeting via Zoom, working on projects, but because of COVID, things have been kind of dragging a bit. But anyhow, he's still interested, and he'll be coming down as soon as the restrictions are like, go to look at the airport, see where things we can, I guess, cut some cost and, maybe sell a building or two that's excess there. There's a quite an issue that I wanted to let you know that's coming up. It could be potentially maybe a few dollars. Apparently, there's been identified that there is hold on here. It's there's a bio pile somewhere on the airport land, and since 2019, Department of Environment has been asking for that to be cleaned up, and apparently no action has been taken. So we ended up with a warning letter. Something has to be done. So Dylan is being involved in it, and this could be very, very expensive. So they're trying to pass it on, that or with the lawyers, to see if this couldn't go maybe as far as before the airport was owned by the feds. So they're hoping that maybe we can't pass on to them. But there was a letter written a few years back, and the federal government refused. So anyhow, well, I'll keep you posted when I find out a little more. But Dylan is going to check it out, see what the cost is, and so just something to keep in mind. We had waste check meeting, like Ted said, went there, Mariner Center, like Nicole said, and also, what was it? We had for the Industrial Commission, we had audit committee meetings. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, this will be very quick. Most everybody's already mentioned everything that's we've been involved in over the last month or so. But like Guy said, Industrial Commission, I attended waste park meetings and regular council meetings, and nothing earth shattering going around in my district here in the last month or so. So everything's smoothing on the up and up. Thank you.
Good. Councillor Boudreau.
Not going to get into details, but working on a few projects that's going to be beneficial to our community here in Wedgeport. So working on those, looking forward to get these projects moving ahead. So that's my assessment of the I guess my councillors report, I guess.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. Had a few things going on the last little while, actually. There were some people down from Tourism Nova Scotia. I met with them, and hopefully they're going to be doing some, they have been doing some work on this end of the province. So hopefully we'll get some benefits out of that. And they're really highlighting Southwest Nova and that. So we're going to be put on the map again, hopefully. And attended some meetings, worked with Peggy Boudreau, our senior safety officer, on 3 files. 1 is resolved and 2 is ongoing. And like I've said before, Peggy's always great to work with and goes above and beyond to help the clients, I feel. I would also like to publicly thank a group of people in the West Side Improvement Society. These people put up banners, 2 Christmas trees, including the buoy tree that people come from all over to see. They also baked cookies that were in the Anna's gingerbread house for children to enjoy. So mercy to that group. And also found out here this evening, people can mark their calendars for the 15th of August, National Cajun Day. there's going to be lots of activities and music planned for Dennis Point down around the wharf. There's going to be a stage set up. There's going to be different performances and that. So hopefully COVID will let us this go off and everything. Hopefully it should be a great day for everyone involved. And the only other thing I guess I will ask, I know, and I'm sure it's just an oversight, but I know the Mariner Center Expansion Committees and also the Airport Committee, just could we as councillors get notified again to sit in as spectators to see all what's going on? Because, you know, especially like, well, both of them, there's a lot of money that leave this municipality that go in there. And if somebody asks me tomorrow down in my area, you know, what's going on with the Mariner Center expansion or how much monies are going, or sort of in the dark. So if we could get notified again for those meetings, and that, it would be a great thing, I believe.
Okay, can I ask, where were you getting your notifications before? Like you were getting them for a time there, right? Who was it coming from?
We were getting them for a time, then we just sometime they were coming from the municipality, I believe.
Okay.
Or possibly from Deputy Warden Albright, I'm not sure. But sometimes we'd get some at 1 o'clock saying there was a meeting at 2 o'clock or so, which was, you know, kind of hard to plan around. So if we could know a couple of days before, maybe not everyone's interested in sitting in on them, but for the ones that are, you know, at least the offer has been made.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and I know like Kim was on that before. So I think it's Chantal now who has taken on that role. So we'll make arrangements to make sure that you guys, but it's the third Wednesday at 3:30 every time.
But at the same time, if we don't have the link,
Yes.
No,
we,
exactly.
you know.
Yep.
And I've got a memory, but it's something like myself, quite short. So, you know, so thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you. So that was everybody. Next one is the Warden's report. There's an attachment. I don't know if anybody has any questions on those, if you've seen it. I was fairly busy for, usually December kind of slows down, but it didn't seem to slow down this year. Go ahead, Councillor Shag.
Danny, while you're speaking there, there's something I thought of. I've had several calls lately. I don't know if you know any more about it or not, on the rural internet. People from Morris Island, I've had in the Tittle Road, the end of the Tittle Road, and Danny or Richard might know more. Is there a site where a person could go have a look at it, or something that gives you a date?
Well, it's funny you would bring that up, because I had some questions as well, and I spoke with Evan about it from Evan Nemeth, who was with the RAN, right? He's kind of he's seeing that this project go, like he's in contact and whatever. They are really behind. They're behind where they were saying when they first started this, they were saying that it was going to be done in 2022, if I remember correctly. There's areas now they're saying 2023. Okay, so there's areas that should have been done by now, and there was one specific, the person who called me specific, they've been there, the cable is up on the road, everything, they went through the properties, and now when I talked to Evan, theirs is scheduled for around this time next year before they get it, and it was really scheduled for now, right? That at first. That's basically all I know, but it looks like they're basically a year behind. And what the problem is, I don't know if COVID had something to do with it or what, but I know the people that are clearing all the trees and whatever, they've been at it right through the winter. I know some areas have been connected, like East Kent and those areas, as far as I know, they're connected. But definitely there's a hell of a lot more work to be done, and they are behind. To give you a specific date, perhaps by contacting Evan, he might be, if you give him a specific location, he might be able to tell you when it's scheduled. There is a site that you can go, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of specific dates. And Richard, I'm sure you've been following this probably closer than I have. So maybe you have more comments on that than I do.
Well, the site is developed in Nova Scotia. And if you navigate through their website, you can find a place where there's maps for each district, and it gives you projected dates for when it will be finished. But they've already changed them in the last update for this district through where I live here. It says February to April, but that's not true. There is trucks in the area running the what do they call it? The main line, but they've trimmed the drive, like they've trimmed all the tree trimmings done in here, and I believe they're in West Pubnico now. So they're working to the end of the municipality's pretty well all done for as the tree trimming goes. And they were laying fiber up today, not far from my place, and I believe they were in Argyle Sound laying wire. But what does that mean? I mean, they laid wire in Quinnen like way last fall. Are they hooking people up in Quinnen? Do you know, Nicole? Okay. See, the infrastructure in a lot of places in place, but maybe they don't have the technicians to do house to house. So I mean, that may be what's holding them up. They may be spread too thin across the province. I don't know. I talked to Evan personally, and like he didn't have a whole lot more to add other than what you guys have already said.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which we had more to give the public, but we have what we have, and like Councillor Donaldson said, you look at it today and it looks good, and then you look at it again in 2 days and it's changed. So I'm sure they're doing what they can, hopefully. So I didn't see anybody with questions with my report. So if there's no questions, I'll move on for decision. 9A is traffic calming policy. Now, I do believe we've had our first reading, and I do believe that this is there now for acceptance. We can move to accept this. Am I correct? Yeah, I see Carl Boudreau shaking his head. So are there any questions or comments on this? The sign is up somewhere right now. Is it up in West Pubnico? Yes.
Yeah, it's on Dennis Point Road right now.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a solar, so nice little sign. It's got red, when you first go around the curve, a lot of times you'll see red and that if you're speeding, and then there's a white light that flashes. And then when you slow down, it'll come down to a yellow for telling you what speed it is, that you're going. I honestly don't know if it's having the desired effects that people wanted or not. But anyway, it's there, and I see Kyle with his hand up, so maybe he can tell us more.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, so we do get real-time data on that. So we're actually working on pulling that data, getting it into spreadsheets, and we're going to make some comparisons. We actually had it in stealth mode for a little bit while, so it didn't look like it was operating. So we're actually going to take the data before it looked like it was operating versus after it appeared operating, but we have data from both sides. So we're going to be able to see if it has had a positive effect or not. It's just a lot of data to go through, and we'll get there.
It gives you a count of traffic as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I get traffic in hourly increments. I get speeds, exact speeds, fees in increments of 10. So there's a lot of data there. It's just a matter of going through it, organizing it, and
Okay.
getting it out to you guys.
Councillor Sonia.
So, thank you. Is that going to be moved around from in the Argyle area, or is it going to stay where it is?
Yes.
So
Go
the
ahead.
policy states that it can stay in one location for up to 3 months, and then it gets moved around based on our needs for it. And then the data is going to be included in our yearly meetings with the RCMP to give target areas that maybe should be looked out for in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
And Mr. Warden, did you forget the staff report?
Yes, I did, didn't I? Staff report. That's the second time. That's second meeting I forgot that. Maybe I'm doing it on purpose. I don't know. So we have a staff report. Who's going to take that? Kyle or Scott or? Well, what we can do with this? Has everybody had a chance to read it? And if we've read it, is it better for, if you have any questions on that, or do you want, would you like Kyle to kind of highlight things? Maybe you can highlight a few things if you want, Kyle.
Yeah, so that's fine. So basically, the big projects on the go, I'm going to get the agenda up here on my phone. The big projects on the go, well, rural internet, we've discussed already. We're unsure of dates at this time, but we are in constant communication with them. The Wedgeport wastewater project, we have done 35 of the site visits, did the soil samples, had the engineers on site, so they've taken those back for the design, starting on design on those. We got 15 more to do, but we got to wait for the weather to break to get them done. But we're confident that we'll be ready to go to tender late February as long as the weather cooperates. ACOA funding applications, we currently have funding application out for the rails to trails to do some upgrades on the trail system. We're just waiting to hear back on that. We have the bylaw enforcement and fire inspection report. Been working hard on getting prepared for his designation and go out and actually do the enforcement part of it, but he's up to date on all the files, continues his training, and he's ready to go as soon as we get the green light. Finance department, we're getting on budget season, so Marcia's been working hard to start prepping for that stuff for the next budget. Recreation is in the process of applying for grants for the upcoming summer season. A lot of their programs have been put on hold, as you know, right now. So they've kind of they've transitioned to a planning stage and getting ahead of the game on a lot of the planning for the summer, as a lot of the winter programs have been put on hold. And other than that, we should be pretty well up the pace on the Coles Notes version of everything right now.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, I have two hands. I saw Councillor Strat and then Councillor Sonia.
Yeah, this question goes to Kyle, and what my ask may not be possible, and I think we'll all know why in a minute. But we haven't had a financial given to us in the last 3 months, and I know Alain's not around, and I'm not putting any pressure whatsoever on you, Kyle, or on Marcia, because this is Marcia's thing. But if it was possible, maybe really. To see where we stand, but if she can't produce it, I do understand that, but I'm just asking. So if you could look at it, if you could look at it, and if it's not possible, no big deal, but it would be nice to see if we could even just send to us, maybe not at the meeting, but send to us. But anyhow, if not, no problem there. Thank you.
No, I think we can definitely make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
By the committee of the whole meeting, we can have a full financial.
That's usually when we see it.
Exactly. That's
yeah.
exactly. We'll have that on the agenda then for sure.
And our meetings have been so sporadic, and we've skipped some, and you know, it's.
Yeah.
We're kind of, we were kind of in a dilemma there, and we've made.
No, I can guarantee you the
Yes.
committee of the whole.
Yeah. Councillor Sonia, you had your hand up.
Thank you. This is, I believe, for Kyle. On the miscellaneous, Ailey was working on amending the existing active transportation plan, and it's been passed on to Natalie. And I believe she was on that at the very beginning anyhow, so she's probably more familiar with it than Ailey was. But it says that they are amending their active transportation plan, and the community engagement will begin in February. I'm just wondering what kind of amendment and community engagement we're looking at.
So I don't, I did speak with Natalie regarding this being Scott both did today. I'm not sure exactly what the amendments are going to be. I know she's working with WSP closely on those and making sure that it fits all of our needs as a municipality. I think some of it's going to be around the accessibility side, but she's working on that right now, and you guys will know as soon as those changes are made and what they are and the reason behind them.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure she'll probably bring us up to date once she has, especially if it's something's going to happen in February. Yeah, I'm sure we'll know in due time, hopefully anyway. Councillor Bork.
I was just wondering about the solar panels on Willett Road, if you know anything more about the completion or anything more about that, because I haven't seen anything going on there.
No, so my last conversation with those guys, they are stuck on a job in Colchester, and basically the supply chain is slowing everything down from that project to our project. I would say, without them telling me that, just with the weather that's coming, I'd say that's probably going to be a spring completion now. They haven't came out and said that, but that's what I'm counting on behind the scenes, is that's when I expect to see them now at this point.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I can move back to what I started there. So we have that policy, and what we're going to, it's ready to be accepted, like if we're going to. So Councillor Digdon, is that a motion or question?
No, it's a motion to accept the traffic calming policy for the municipality of Argyle.
Can we have a seconder on that? Deputy Warden Albright. So you've heard the motion. Are there any discussion or more questions on it? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Boudreau.
Just a comment. After it leaves Dennis Point Road, there's plenty of spots in my district.
Well, I'm not sure how they're going to be deciding, but I'm sure it's going to be based on different information that they get and whatever. So I'm sure it'll be chosen where they think it's best. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I think the goal would be to actually get a couple more signs when the budget allows for it, because we're such a big geographical area that that's the goal with this policy, isn't just to be a policy around one sign. We're hoping to build on that in the future and have 2 or 3 on the go at a time, moving every 3 months. We should be able to cover quite a bit of the municipality.
Yes. Okay, so if you're ready for the question, all in favor, signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. The next one, coldest night of the year. That's a letter that I received, and what it is from Shift House, and they're looking for coldest night of the year is, I saw here in February, I think I saw. Where did I see the date? Anyway, what they're asking, they're trying to raise about $3,200 with the support of 20+ teams and 150 walkers. It's going to be a walkathon, and they have 2 requests. One of the requests is they're looking for $500 from the municipality, and the other request is to see if the municipality would put in a team or recruit 8 or 10 employees to walk and raise money with us. So that's two things. The first one, I guess, is it's the request for 500. Now, I would say that probably has to go through the grants to organizations, right? Even though they're going to miss, we're going to miss it. That's why I'm looking for the date. I saw here somewhere. 20,000.
26.
February
26.
26th.
Okay. Yeah. So they will be missing it'll be over by the time the grants to organization comes. I don't know. I think on February 26th, right there, she's right in front of me. I'm not sure what we can do with this. I mean, I know we've done special requests before, but I don't know what council wants to do with this. As far as donating, I mean, do we know that? I'm sure we can probably find it somewhere. Let's go ahead, Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. I was just wondering, did we receive a request from them last year for this event? And if so, what did we do for them last year? Is what I'm wondering.
In our last grant applications is what you're saying, 2021.
No, I'm wondering if we received a letter from them last year concerning this event, the coldest night of the year. And if so, did we do anything for them at that time?
Yeah, that I can't recall myself if that was there or not. I think the best way would be to go into the file of what was granted. We had two. We had the fall one and the spring one. So I'm not sure. Is there any way that you can bring that up, either Scott or Kyle?
I don't remember, Mr. Warden, anything about the cold night of the year. I was nothing like that I can remember.
And I don't know. I'm just wondering, just asking. It would have came in, chances are, around the same time last year, either December or January. And I was just wondering, that's all.
So I'm not sure what you want to do with this. It has to be.
Just to add, I don't remember it being on the agenda either, so.
No. Just that it's an odd time for them. I mean, we can't say we'll wait until the grants and guarantee that they'll get it. We can't do that, but it's up to us here if we want to make a motion that we give them 500, where that would come from. Go ahead, Councillor Surratt.
In our policy, there can be special occasions where, if I remember correct, but I would maybe want Kyle and Scott to check that out. But there are in the policy, if there is a special request, we can do it. We've done it before.
We've done it before.
I'm not one that likes that, but maybe if the councillors think it's good, I certainly won't say no.
So what's the Councillor? Okay, I've got Councillor Donaldson and Councillor Digdon. Councillor Digdon, I'm going to go to Donaldson. You spoke already. I'm going to go to Councillor Donaldson first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I feel where it's only $500. If it was a bigger amount, we may have to be more cautious on how we handled it. But I think for $500 that we can get this done with and get it over with and move on.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we give them the $500 and we'll leave it up to our CAO to find a place where he can bring it from. And I'm sure there's somewhere in that budget that we can find it. So
Exactly. Okay, and was that a seconder, Councillor Surratt? Okay, Councillor Digdon, did you want to say something? We have a motion, so we can.
Yes, we do, and that's great. I tend though to agree with Councillor, I agree 100% with Councillor Surratt. I feel as though we have to be careful on stuff like this, on these asks, and maybe next time we could point them in the right direction, tell them that we are going along, if the motion passed, with it this year, and explain to them how we give out monies and help them. We can help them help themselves. So it would be a win-win all the way around, possibly.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Councillor Sonia.
All I want to say, for me, only having been here a year, so not knowing the past history of how you guys handle these requests, I would be almost neutral on the answer. I will go with the popular vote, but I'm just like Glenn. I'm kind of cautious in just throwing out money that easily, so to speak. Thank you.
Anybody else? Are we ready for the question? Go ahead, Councillor Digdon.
And if I may say one more thing, and I agree again with Councillor Sonia, the only thing is it's not actually, they are a great organization, and they're an organization right now because of COVID and a lot of issues that people are having. I feel as though it's a great time to help them if we can help them out. That's all. Thank you.
Exactly. They are helping out a lot of people that are in need, for sure.
They are.
Okay, so if we're ready for the question, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. So it's up to you guys to find the money, Scott. And the next one, Glenwood, Lower Argyle light request. Now there's an attachment here. I've looked, maybe I'm missing it. Where is this light? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Johnson. I'm sure you're aware of where this is and what it's all about.
Yeah, I was presented with this application for a street light along with a petition that was signed by a number of people. Does anybody know where Greg and Dale Surratt used to live? And
Where they used to live.
Well, he sold his house. There's
Yeah.
people from Ontario have bought it. Anyhow, it's next to Peter Spinney on one side, and Monica, I don't know her last name. Her son plays in the NHL. That's all I know. She used to be a Grays, but I don't know what she is now. But anyhow, it's the main strip in Lower Argyle. I see that the form here that Public Works was supposed to have a look at it and make a recommendation. That wasn't done. So they do meet some of the criteria and they don't meet some of the other criteria. That's why I would have liked to have Public Works have a look at it so we could add some guidance to go from there. As the local council, I'm going to want to have the street light there, but I don't want to. I don't want to do it without having a recommendation from staff. I mean, because we do have quite a strict street light policy, and so yeah, I guess we're going to have to wait for that. Right now, is there anybody in Public Works that can do that? Like Danny, I see Kyle wants to
Go ahead,
talk.
Kyle.
So I've actually called Mr. Harrison, or I've called Harrison, had a chat with him about the area. I know the area that he's talking about. So I think that a lot of the criteria, there is the power poles there. It would be road facing. He has his signatures. The part to determine is part 9. There's no pedestrian crosswalk. The area with high nighttime traffic accident history per police fire reports. We don't have police and fire department reports to back up any history of accidents there. So I think we would have to lean on, see if we did want to move forward with this, which is areas with road conditions that are deemed potentially hazardous. So in that area, it is dark, it is a straight stretch. There is speeding that happens there. There's a limited shoulder. And I know that there has been a considerable amount of deer actually hit right there recently. Whether or not that constitutes this or not, or whether or not this then goes into our traffic calming policy, and that's the next location of the speed sign, that's up to you guys and which way we want to go with that. The street light policy, we do, yeah, it can get quite large if it's out there and criteria is not met. So we want to make sure that we have the resources to meet all these applications if there was one. So that's my take on it, and the homework that I've done on it from the public works aspect and CAO aspect of it to make sure I did my homework on it.
I would be a little hesitant, I'll tell you, because this is just at a property then, because at their house, is that it? It's
No,
not,
it's
it's not an intersection.
No, but it is roadside. It's not on their
No,
property.
no,
It's-
but the property itself, it's not an intersection. There's no crosswalk. To me, these are the important things. And I think we've had requests before. And if they didn't meet, they can meet some, but you have to look at what they meet, right? And I
Okay,
think-
I understand, Danny, so I'm gonna make a motion. If it's defeated, then it settles it. We're not gonna beat this around for months either.
No.
So I'll make a motion that we install a street light that meets most of the criteria for this location.
Is there a seconder on that? Seconded by Councillor Digdon. Any comments or questions? Go ahead, Councillor Surratt.
Don't know if this question should go to Kyle or it might be unfair to you, Kyle. What is the definition of heavy vehicular traffic?
That is very much a gray area, right? So that's where I'm at with it, right? I don't know the definition of that, and I don't know if anybody could tell you the exact definition of that. And it says heavy vehicular traffic at night actually is the criteria. So that's with a history of accident reports from the police and the fire department. So that's a very big gray area to me. I think you'd lean more on the accident reports than the traffic volumes. Again, that speed sign policy will get us traffic volumes at different times, different hours. So, that's where I lean on stuff like that. And then maybe we would see a need for a light there based on our traffic data that we got. That's my 2 cents on it.
Anybody else?
It's the main road going towards the wharf, Guy, if that helps.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Councillor Digdon.
Thank you, and I did second the motion, just so Richard would have a seconder in that, and the motion was brought up. That's the only thing, though. I don't know right now we're in a position and that to actually vote on it and knowing enough information about the requests and about the traffic that is there at night, and if there's been incidents around there or not. Maybe someone could look into it and get back to council and then go from there.
I can answer that, Glenn. There's hasn't been no major accidents in recent history along that stretch,
Go ahead to
except for hitting deer. There's been a lot of deer. If you call that an accident or not,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
No, but that happens in the daytime too. So go ahead. I'll go with Deputy Warden first, and then Councillor Surratt. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you. When I look at it, I wonder too about number 8. Do we know if it will impair the Starlight Reserve and tourist destination status of the dark skies? Do we have any input or any data on that, any information on that? Because that's part of the criteria that we talked about before.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm fairly confident it doesn't. You're
No.
how many poles, Richard? You're probably 10 to 15 poles from the one at you're between the Argyle and the Wharf Road, so you've got streetlights in that vicinity now. I'm fairly confident it wouldn't interfere with those. I could get more information on that to be sure, but I'm pretty confident that it won't.
Councillor Surratt.
Yes, this question will go to Kyle again, or Scott. Yeah, put Scott onto this. I don't see any place where there's a price for the whole year. You got to install the light. We have to buy the light, pay for the light, and pay for the power for a year. Is there a number there that you have? Because if we start putting lights all over the place, we're looking at a huge cost to the municipality. So you have an idea, Kyle or Scott?
No, so that's determined by Nova Scotia Power after they do their assessment of the area. So if we request them to go do a site assessment of where we're requesting a light, they're going to go there, they're going to look at that, they're going to size the light that's needed, they're going to give us a price for installation, and then based on the size of the light that's needed is how it is charged per month. So they're anywhere from $17 to I think $36 a month based on the size that you get. The maintenance and the install fee are going to be above and beyond that, obviously. But yeah, so I think we have 8 in the municipality right now that we cover. Most of them are at community playgrounds, close to schools, or on our own roads.
And intersections. We've installed some at intersections and that type of thing. I'm a little hesitant in thinking that we should pass this. That's just my view, because I think the most important here in these criteria is number 9, pedestrian crosswalk, area with high night traffic accident history, area with road conditions that are deemed potentially hazardous, area of heavy pedestrian or vehicular traffic, such as public community building, community centers. It doesn't meet any of that. And if we approve this one, we've got a lot of people there that would like street lights. And I think by just because they're on the main road, but they don't meet these, I would have much difficulty in approving this myself. So in that respect, I can tell you, I will vote against this one. Go ahead, Councillor Bork.
Okay, I just want to be clear. So I don't know, what did I miss? So they want to put a street light it's on the main drag in Argyle, right? You sit around Yvette Spinney's place around there because it's dark and the traffic goes fast. Is that why?
Basically what he told me and Kyle, yeah, it's a very dark area. And so I told him I would do this exercise, and if we vote it down, I'm almost certain he'll do something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll say in my district that reason there, if we put a street light there, well, in my district there's plenty of those kind of places as well. So I have a same kind of a speed limit, 80 kilometers, and not very many street lights anywhere. I do have a street light that was put in by the municipality because it's an intersection where the fire department comes out. But to what they're saying, I mean, I know everybody's hollering they want streetlights because it's dark and you can't walk and you can't see. But if we're going to put one there, you're going to have to start putting them in everywhere.
I'm afraid
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know where.
I mean, I'd love to see streetlights everywhere, but if you're going to do one, you're going to do them all. And I know
afraid-
Glenn would like to have streetlights on his sidewalk.
I'm afraid of this for that reason as well. Go ahead, Councillor Sonia, sorry.
Thank you. I wanted to listen on this one before I could say anything. I agree with Kathy, because living here in Plymouth, the traffic is really, it's heavy and it's fast. We have a brand new RCMP that just moved in our neighborhood, and one of his first comments was how fast the traffic was going, and we got no streetlights. because it's just a straight stretch of road here with the exception of the school. So we could have a street light on every pole if that was the criteria. So I have to agree with Kathy that on this particular case, I think we need to put one all over Argyle if we're going to do this. Thank you.
More. Go ahead, Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, this gentleman just wants an answer, so
Exactly.
let's just do the vote. I mean, we can look at a policy later on. I mean, Barrington has one on every second pole in
Right.
their municipality, anywhere where there's a house anywhere close. They don't have them in long stretches of wooded area, but anywhere there's houses, they have one on every second pole. So I mean, it can be done by small rural municipalities if we decide we want to do something like that.
Exactly.
But as the time, we have a policy, we have to follow it. And he knows that, so.
Are we ready for the question?
Question.
Question called. All in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion defeated. So there won't be a street light installed.
Thank you.
at the location. Okay, good. The next one is part-time building inspector designation, and all that is because John, our building inspector, is going out on a part-time basis rather than full-time. It has been moved that we designate that he's designated as a part-time building inspector for the municipality of Argyle. Basically, that's all it is. He's retired and very tired. So he will be working with us on a part-time basis. So I guess we just have to, because he was a full-time employee, we just have to make a motion that we designate him as a part-time employee. Go ahead, Councillor Bork. That's a motion? No?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion that John Sullivan be designated as the part-time inspector for the municipality of the District of Argyle.
Seconded by Councillor Boudreau. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor, signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded. Carried. The next one is Nakile Home for special care tax exemption. This is something we do. We've been for the last number of years, but they have to request it every year, that we cap their taxes at $25,000 per year, but it has to go through a motion because we can't do it. It has to be done on a yearly basis. So they have requested it. And I guess we can have a motion, or we can move by Councillor, by Deputy Warden, and seconded by Councillor Digdon. Any questions or comments on this? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. West Pubnico Lift Station pump. I'm going to turn this over to Kyle. Kyle knows about this maybe more than I do.
So we had one of our 10 horsepower pumps go at the main Tusket lift station on Rock Road. As soon as I started digging into the replacement for it, I was in the process of looking at spares as it was, but the cost surprised me as much as anybody else. And with a budget line for the year of $24,000 to maintain that entire, you're looking at a $10 million facility with all the infrastructure of the piping and the lift stations. And a $24,000 budget line just doesn't cut it when one pump can be 12 grand plus HST. So right now we're getting up to our budget line for the maintenance of that facility right now. And this pump is gone. We have to order it one way or another. And I'm hoping that we can do that outside of the current budget, because what's left there, I think is really going to be needed to maintain that facility for the rest of this budget year anyways.
That budget you're talking about, if I may, is that the budget through the West Pubnico sewer? Like, does that money come from that?
So
Formula?
some of that money does come from that. Some of that is funded from our municipal reserve and
Okay,
our capital reserve, but some of that does come from that on a yearly basis. But again, trying to maintain this on its current budget lines, and even if we raise those budgets, there's some major things that could go wrong there. So I'd like to keep that reserve safe. There's things that can go wrong that are going to cost us a lot more than $15,000 at some point in time.
okay, Yeah.
So maintaining that system is key, and getting it to where we're not scared that something large could go wrong. So I do fear that at some point we're going to see bigger hits for this, and I want to get that nest egg kind of built up if we can for that.
okay. Councillor Digdon, did you have? No.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions, I guess, or one question for Kyle, maybe. Being as though it was over the $10,000 mark, and did you only get one price on it, or did you get a couple of prices, or is there only one place to get prices?
So we do have a current rail system and electrical system in place for flight pumps. So there's only one manufacturer of flight pump, or one supplier of flight pumps in our region. The original quote that I got from him was $16,400 and change plus tax. When he saw my reaction to that one, he went back to his bosses and saw what he could do. And we did get a 25%, I think it's around 25% discount for this new quote that I provided there. I think that's it's our only option if we want to go flight. There are other options out there, but it would take a little bit of infrastructure change. And what we save on the pump, I think we're going to put out in other ways as well. So currently all of our pumps are flight, and we have the flight rail system, the flight electrical systems and control systems in place. So I think that's a bigger question that's not a good one to address at this point.
Just asking,
Yep.
And if I may, Warden Muse. So I guess you're looking for a motion to purchase this pump at a cost of $12,943.77 plus HST, and I'd be willing to make that motion.
Okay, it was moved, seconded by Councillor Donaldson, or is that a question? No. Okay, moved and seconded. Any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. The last one is the one that I had added, and what it is I had a phone call regarding the Rockall Point Road, and I guess their question is, when is that going to get fixed up? We're not sure. I thought that it was on the list to be upgraded, but I guess we just don't have any definite timeline of when this would happen. They have to raise the road, and this person is concerned more than just raising the road. She's concerned about the condition of this road, and they have a property pretty much at the end, and apparently it's in bad shape. So what I told her is that I would bring up that if we could write a letter to the department and copy our MLA, just kind of stating the issue. And I think this letter should go to the Minister of Public Works directly. And the question to me would be, do we have a timeline for this? Is that on the list? And if not, and if it is, when is this going to get done? And if it's not, could they look at it to see that it gets on the list? So that's basically all we can do as a council. And I explained that, and this lady understood exactly where our position was, but she felt that maybe if it came from another level of government, that maybe they would react to it a little different than it comes directly from a resident. And I think there's a plan of maybe getting a petition going as well on that road to see if they can't get something done. So I guess all I'm looking forward for someone to make a motion that we write a letter. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Bork.
I just want to make the motion of that because I know that you guys have been talking a lot about that Rocker Point Road. It seems to be a long time that it's in bad shape. So I like to make a motion that we do send a letter to Department of Highways and that we CC our MLA Colton LeBlanc.
Okay. Seconder for this, seconded by Deputy Warden. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Surratt.
Probably just a comment, really. Our situation on the Tittle Road has been just terrible, over the last, since I've been a councillor and before that. Anyhow, just to give maybe the residents an idea, when we flooded the last high course tides we had, were one of the highest of the year, and we had pictures taken. They're fixing the Tittle Road. They were going to raise the marsh, the road on the marsh by a foot. Well, with the pictures we sent in and stuff we sent in and a couple of drones, we're getting 3 feet now. This is what we're going to get, 3 feet. So just to tell your residents, don't be scared to take pictures and add it on and bug the heck out of your MLA.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Deputy Warden, go ahead.
Thanks. Same, we hear a lot of comments for Rocker Point Road. I get a lot of emails and messages for Rocker Point Road. We hear Tittle and we hear Rocker Point Road a lot of times when we meet with ministers, when we meet the TIR. Tittle and Rocker Point Road come up all the time, but nobody ever has given us a timeline. They just say, yep, it's on the list, it's on the list. And it is frustrating. And I mean, I don't live on that road, but I can't imagine living on that road because I know the frustration that they feel.
Okay, good enough.
Yep.
So there's a motion. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary reminded, carried. So I'll leave that with staff to maybe get a letter, and that can be signed usually signed by the warden, that it comes from the warden. And I think it should go probably, I don't think there's any point in sending it locally here, because they don't really have much to do with that. I think it has to go to the minister, myself. Okay, good. We're good with that then. Okay, that's our items for decision. Correspondence. We have the newsletter from Western Counties Regional Libraries. There's a letter from the province regarding bylaw number 41, the maintenance improvement of private roads. That had gone to the CAO. Okay, just an acknowledgement that they received a letter. That's basically all it is. And the one that I wanted to bring up, I'm going to have to bring it, find it here again. And what it is, inbox here. Bear with me till I find it. That was a letter. I'll find it in a second. What it is January 15th is it's an anniversary of, it has to do with the Black community, where there was a bunch of ships that were, let's say, I think it was 1892 or whatever, I'll keep looking while I talk. And they were looking to see if we could sign a proclamation and proclaim that date commemorating that event. We don't do proclamations. I checked with the town of Yarmouth, I checked with the municipality of Yarmouth, and they had the same request, and they don't do proclamations either. So what they're just going to do, and I think it's just to mention it in a meeting, that we recognize the date. They also requested that if we would set up some kind of commemoration. The town is not going to do, from what I understand, they're just going to kind of mention it here. And I think I just want to bring it to the attention that June 15 is the anniversary of that event for the Black community. I guess, wish I could find the email. I had it here. No, it's before that.
January the 15th, is it when the 15 ships sail from out from Shelburne or from Nova Scotia that
From
went
Nova
to
Scotia,
Freetown?
exactly.
They went to Freetown.
It went to who?
Freetown and Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, exactly. And it's the anniversary of that.
Yeah.
17, here it is right here.
1792 or something like that.
1792 is what it was. And what they're looking for is we would ask to recognize that January 15, the 230th anniversary of the Exodus from the Nova Scotia to Sierra Leone, is an essential part of the history of all Nova Scotians and Canadians. We ask that municipal governments initiate an annual commemoration of the event on the upcoming anniversary of departure of the 15 ships. We ask that Council recognize that has a responsibility of repairing the historic injustice of omission, as this journey is rooted in the history of slavery and racism in Nova Scotia, thus not turning to those who lived under the weight of the history for funding a memorial, but consulting with those communities. We have attached a sample. We would be willing to provide more. So we can't do a proclamation, but I guess we can say that, yes, we recognize that. I think the municipality recognizes that as an important a day for that event, for sure, and for the people that were involved. So basically, that's all I wanted to bring it up for. Sorry it took so long to find it. It was one of my first ones. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. And I was just wondering if we, although we're not doing a proclamation, which is, and that's, we don't do them. I wonder if we just could put a little bit about it on our Facebook site, on the municipality's Facebook site. Like I know we've had stuff on before for reconciliation days and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And just, that we acknowledge that day. Be
And it would be a way of commemorating.
an important day. That's right.
Yes.
Just an idea.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea. I think I felt I had to bring it up, because of the situation that it involved. So I guess we could do it that way, just to make sure that on January 15th that it's on there. Go ahead, Councillor Richardson.
I agree with Glenn.
Richardson, I said that all the time.
Richardson, Donaldson,
Yes.
Donald Richardson.
Richardson. Either way.
But no, for the public, if they want to, I mean, I've read the book and there's a movie around that event. I believe it's called The Book of Names. So there is a lot of history. I'm a history nut if you people don't know, but anyhow, there is history around it in a book and a movie. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just wanted to add that comment.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Donald. Okay, so that will be taken care of by, I'm sure, whoever does the adds things to the our website. Financial requests, we have one district community grant for Glenwood Community Hall. And that's Councillor Donaldson as well.
So moved.
Moved by, seconded by Councillor Digdon. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary minded, carried. Agenda topics for next meeting, a notice of motion by councillors. Anything anybody has? Go ahead, Councillor Digdon. Unmute, please.
Yes, with these Zoom meetings, one thing that you should always do before you start talking is unmute yourself, folks. So I've just done that. Thank you,
So that was your
Mr.
comment? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Warden, for telling me to unmute. And that something I'm looking at, and I guess I'm looking for some direction. I don't know if we want to bring it up at a council meeting first, or if I should put a blurb on my Facebook site first. And I know it is happening in a lot of the areas out there in the municipality, is the flyers that we receive every week or every second week. A lot of times people are not picking them up, or these flyers are going to homes where nobody lives, and that residence where nobody lives, or they're away. And you go back there in 3 days' time, or go by there in 3 days' time, these flyers are all over the place and in the ditches and everything. I've had some concerned residents asking me about that. And I honestly don't know what way. I guess I'm looking for some direction here this evening. I know back here a little while ago that Claire has a flyer distribution bylaw that they just put into effect. And the bylaw 38, I don't know if it's something we should look at as far as going. The only thing I find with bylaws and that you're getting heavy-handed. I don't know if an education piece would do, or some information that if you do not want to receive your flyers, please call this number and cancel the flyers to this at this residence. And just, I guess I'm looking for some guidance here this evening. Thank you.
I saw Councillor Sonia, Councillor Bork, and Councillor Surratt. Go ahead, Sonia.
Thank you. Glenn, in Plymouth here, we have a great system. There's a wooden box.
Yeah.
And whoever delivers the flyers just puts everything in the wooden box. And I think you probably have to determine how many people use it, but for us, it works fine. We go pick up, it's right by the mailbox. We go pick up our mail, we grab a flyer. If we don't want one, we leave it there. When he comes to put new flyers, if there's any left there, he takes the old flyers away, puts new ones in. And it works perfect. There's no garbage, there's no nothing. It's ideal for us.
Yeah, same with Abrams River. Go ahead, Councillor Surratt.
Glenn, this at our waste check meeting, I've been there for 10 years now. This has come up probably, I'd say about 5-6 times. So you just get a hold of Amy Hilliard as waste check, and they'll fix you up. This is it's been a recurring problem. Carl DeVoe brought it up in Clare. They had problems, and they have a way of getting people not to get these flyers. And waste check knows the process, phone numbers, and how to handle it.
Okay. Councillor Bork.
Yeah, I had this concern a while back, a few years ago, and I had called up the person that would be responsible, and I forget who I had called. Anyway, I got a hold of people that were in charge of the flyers, and I had told them, like, we had boxes next to the mailboxes because people were complaining that the flyers were staying in their driveway and people were driving home and then they're all over the place. So they've been putting them in the boxes, and they could call up to say that they didn't want the flyers delivered. But I think the best solution is to put those in the boxes, and they can pick them up there. Everybody has to go to a box to get their mail. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay, I thank all of council for the information. I've copied down Amy's phone name, and I'm gonna be touching base with her next week and see what she feels though we should do. And I promised the person that brought it up to me that I would bring it up here this evening. So Helen, if you're watching or whatever, I've brought it up and we'll work on it and go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Bork again.
Sorry, I forgot to mention, when I did call the people that did deliver the flyers, and like they said, well, you know, this is a job for a person. So we don't want to take those jobs away either. So we have to be careful how we manage this.
Okay.
And that's exactly why I'm asking here this evening, because that's the last thing I want to do is hurt somebody's income and that. So, but at the same time, I feel as though it's something that has to be addressed. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything on question period? Did anybody see anything come through? Scott's rat.
Warden Muse, I checked with Scott Muse, and he said there's no questions on Facebook, so we're good.
Sounds good. Okay. So no in camera. And motion to adjourn. Moved by everybody wants to leave, I guess. I have my pick. Moved by I think I saw Councillor Digdens, and I saw Councillor Sonia, and I saw
Nicole,
Deputy Warden.
I've cut her off twice tonight and I feel bad. So I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
gonna,
all right.
I'm not gonna move for, I'll stay here all night. No, not gonna move.
Okay, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Well, thank you very much, everyone.